समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्. So Hari Om, salutations to all. We were doing lesson 15, which is the third portion of the Foundation Vedanta course, and Bhajagovindam is what we are covering. So we have seen the first 6 verses. So Shankaracharya ji urges the individual to seek the Supreme, prioritize one's life, and he says, Samprapte sannihite kale nahi nahi rakshati dukrin karne. So the unessentials from the standpoint of the Supreme, or what is the means, that means should be used only as a means. That means should never become the goal. So artha, kama, dharma, they are the means. Moksha or permanent happiness is the goal. Now in seeking that goal, he says 3 times Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja. So seek the Supreme through knowledge, through devotion, and through service. In this seeking, there are 2 main obstacles which come. One is greed and other is passion. So second and third verse spoke about that let there be contentment in life, let the mind be occupied with the thoughts of the higher, and the Pratipaksha Bhavana was spoken about in the third verse, that the body is made up of just 5 elements. It is a modification of flesh. So looking at this body, don't get tempted, don't get fascinated. Once I understand this is an equipment for the sadhana, then take care of the body, but don't be deluded that happiness comes through the body. Then he spoke about how temporary is the life. That life is very, very momentary, like a drop of water on the lotus leaf. A passing breeze can just make that lotus petal. Passing breeze can make that water drop fall. So short is our life, so ephemeral is a life, and that also is filled with diseases at the body level, vidhi vyadhi abhimana grastam, and prejudices, fights at the level of the ego, at the level of the mind. So he says that this small life that we have, let us live that happily, productively, purposefully, and realize the Supreme. That was verse 4. Then verse 5 spoke about how in the world, as long as I am productive, so long people care for me. The moment I become unproductive, I become old, or any other method, any other thing happens where I become unproductive, he says that let me understand that there is a certain attitude of detachment, which if I am able to have, then even if the world treats me like that, I still don't get affected. You have to check your audio, Akhilaji. I think others are able to hear. There is a mic setting next to you in your phone, and there's a speaker. You have to choose your speaker. Then you will get which is a speaker that you have. From there, you have to choose the appropriate speaker, and then you will be able to hear. Everybody else is able to hear clearly. If someone can unmute and right. Okay. So you are able
Yes,
to hear.
Swamiji, we can hear you very well.
Okay.
We have not done the prayers, that of sacred hymns today.
No.
Okay.
Okay. So we were saying the verse number 5. where he says, Yavad vitto parjana sakta, tavan nija parivaro raktaha. As long as one is productive, people are caring. The moment one doesn't become productive, nobody cares. So the idea is that not to be dependent on anybody. Before we come to that state where we feel rejected, we feel not cared for, one has to rise above these dependencies. And one who is able to, who will be able to do that? One who has a higher goal. So, bhaja govindam, bhaja govindam. Know that things and people in the world are temporary. Before one comes to become so dependent on them, cultivate the devotion to the Lord, holding on to which one becomes independent. The next verse says that even if people love us, even if they really care for us, they can come only up to the grave. The moment we drop the body, that same family, no doubt they may still love us, but they cannot come ahead with us. They may still feel sorrow that we have gone, but I have to go alone. It's my journey. And one who understands that will ensure that the time doesn't go in just the attachments and the relationships in the world. Along with that, one balances and develops the devotion and cultivates that relationship with the Lord. So till that we have seen. Now going further, in the seventh verse, Shankaracharya ji gives the autobiography of every individual. बालस्तावत् क्रीडासक्तः तरुणस्तावत् तरुणीसक्तः वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तासक्तः परमे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न सक्तः. So he says here, balastavat kridasaktah. As long as we are children, we are attached to the toys of childhood. Then tarunastavat taruni saktah. When we are young, we are attached to the pleasures of the youth. Vriddhastavat chinta saktah. When I become old, then I am attached to worrying. What will happen next? What will be, what will be the pain at the time of death? Is there life after death? How have I lived till now? Is there really something called heaven and hell? All those doubts come, one feels scared. One starts worrying, what will happen to my family after me? What will happen to all that I've acquired? So many worries. Parame Brahmani Kopina Sakta. Shankaracharya says the whole life passes in some or the other attachment, but nobody is attached to the Supreme. So everybody's autobiography reads similar. Only the object of attachment keeps changing. The tendency to be attached doesn't go. So this verse is to tell us that how much we pamper this body, how much we pamper the our own mind likes and dislikes. That at every stage we need something or the other to be happy. When we are children, we need the toys. You may say, what is wrong in having toys in childhood? See, there's nothing wrong in enjoying the toys of childhood or the pleasures of the youth or name, fame, popularity, nothing wrong by itself. But when it makes me forget the goal of life, one. Second, it makes me completely attached to that. Then I am losing my own potential. To be free, to be peaceful, to be happy is my nature. But when I get dependent, then all the three go away. My freedom is gone, my peace is gone, my mind is disturbed, I am not happy at all. And so here he says that this whole autobiography of this human being, it goes in this I and mind, collecting more things for I and mind. Only what has changed, in the childhood I was holding on to the toys of childhood. Now I have become young, so I am seeking the pleasures of the youth. I am seeking prosperity, I am seeking fame. And when I become old, again I am seeking solutions to my problems, I am worrying. Where one is not through this, one has forgotten the Supreme. That's why he says, Parame Brahmani Kopina Sakta. Now, interesting is Shankaracharya has said that nobody is attached to the Lord. You may say, see, that is also an attachment. But one important thing is, if I get attached to the Lord, I get detached from everything else. And finally, that attachment also drops. So one says that, why can't I do that with the world? Let me get attached to one goal, one person. With that attachment, I drop all other attachment. Then that attachment also will go. Now there's a difference here. The difference is that when we get attached to the Lord is not in return getting attached. Plus the Lord is not an object. The Lord is not a finite entity. The Lord is infinite. So the Lord makes a Jiva also realize that you and I are one. The sense of division, the sense of incompleteness and limitation goes away. In the world, when I get attached to any person or object or a situation, I get more and more dependent. My sense of limitation doesn't go. In fact, my agitation increases because of the dependence. And hence it is that here he says, Parame Brahmani Kopina Saktaha. So we have to ensure that we spend some time, see, in our culture, right from, so at every stage, divinity is associated. So in the childhood, learn the chanting, learn the prayers, do the Gayatri Mantra Upasana, connect to the Supreme. As one grows in life, one starts understanding the meaning. So study the Vedas, study the Upanishads, study the science of Vedanta, understand the deeper significance, learn to live with detachment, serve the society as the expression of the Lord. So every stage there is association with the divinity, so that in and through life we don't forget the goal. As one grows old, then much more time one withdraws, vanaprastha, one withdraws from the worldly activities and turns the mind more and more towards the Lord. And then sannyas finally is full exclusive dedication to that path only. So, and again there are 16 samskars in life. Through these 16 samskars also, at every stage one is reminded that what is your goal? Your goal is to realize the Supreme. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. The goal is that. So this seventh verse is to tell us that let our life not pass away just in attachments. One may feel that I don't have any attachment to the toys now, but I have some other attachment. So instead of replacing our attachment with some other attachments, what we need to do is to develop detachment and devotion. More and more devotion we have, more and more detachment will happen through the uh, for the worldly things. And hence this is the seventh verse where he says that introspect and think about this. That how will we live our life while living in the world? Let me live with detachment. Find out what are the things that make me dependent, that without this I cannot be happy. Those things, slowly one has to start detaching oneself with. And hence the technique of detachment Shankaracharya ji will provide. One way to detach is to ask the questions, to do inquiry. Because when I am not thinking clearly, when I'm getting carried away by some pleasure tendency in the, some pleasure seeking or some emotional gratification, or I need some intellectual kick, when I feel I need these for my happiness, then we start depending. It's a psychological dependence. You know, Gurudev used to call it as a thought bondage. Attachment is a thought bondage. Thought by thought, I have built this uh, notion that if I get this, then I will become happy. There is pleasure in the object or in that person or in that situation. And then I start brooding over it. And as I brood over it, I imagine myself becoming more and more happy as I associate with that person, thing, or object or situation. then I develop attachment towards that. So how to undo that attachment is to actually see for oneself what is the reality. So inquire. So the eighth verse speaks about that aspect, that let me inquire, let me not become a victim of my own wrong notions. So what is that eighth verse? What does it tell us? काते कान्ता कस्ते पुत्रः संसारोऽयमतीव विचित्रः कस्य त्वं कः कुत आयातः तत्त्वं चिन्तय तदिह भ्रातः. You see, this inquiry brings out detachment. Detachment is not running away from the world. Detachment is not escaping from the duties. Detachment is not becoming disinterested. A lot of wrong notions about detachment are there. Detachment means the ability to relate to any object, person, or situation without a psychological dependency that without these I cannot be happy. I must be able to relate with or without them, I am happy, because my happiness depends only on my mind and my state of quietude. One who understands that very clearly will not be dependent, will still relate. In fact, the one who is detached relates more effectively with the object, people, and situations. So the next verse, this eighth verse, speaks about inquiry, that who is my wife, who is my child. Wife and child are symbolic expressions. Wife is symbolic of all those aspects and those things and people on whom I am dependent. And child is symbolic of all those who are dependent on me. So this attachment expresses in this way that I am dependent on many things for my happiness, many people for my happiness, and people are dependent on me. Attached people are attached to each other. I am attached to B, B is attached to C, B can be attached to A, all web of attachments. That is called samsar. Samsaroyam ativa vichitra. Why? Because who is this? If I start inquiring that who was this wife before I married her, she was an independent entity, independent individual. She has come into this world with her own karma. The child is an independent entity, did not exist before some time, now has come into existence. Now each one has come into this life with their own karma, and each of them are living their life. At some point we come, we meet, we exchange some karmas. In that process we get dependent, we build more karmas. So this attachment is that which keeps us bound to this samsara. Like lots of strings, lots of things that hold us captive. One is not able to break free. So he says, inquire, who is this son, who is this wife, from where have they come, and what is the purpose of my relationships with all of them? Is relationship itself the goal of life? So he says, samsaroyam ativa vichitra, kasyatvam, to whom do you belong? This body belongs to the five elements, but I think this is my body. As a jiva, I have traveled so many lives and come into this embodiment. In every life, there must have been some parent, there must have been some relationships. To whom do I actually belong? To any of them? Kasyatvam. Vedanta says that we belong to the Lord, we are divine. Mamaivamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Bhagavan in the Gita says that you are my amsha. So to whom do I belong? Do I belong to the Lord? Do I belong to the people in so many of my lives? Do I belong to these five elements? To whom do I belong? Kasyatvam. When we think like that, then we start wondering, what am I saying that I belong to you, you belong to me? We become possessive in relationships. It's suddenly at the root of my attachment, this strikes. This introspection and this self-inquiry hits at the very root of the attachment. Not to make me disinterested, but to give me the right perspective. That each of us must have some space in our relationships. You see, when the painting is, you are so close by, then one can't see. As one goes far away, then one sees the big picture clearly. So in the same way, so kasyatvam, kaha, who am I? Am I a bundle of five elements? Am I a jiva traveling from one life to another? Am I just this roles that I am playing? Apart from the roles, what is my identity? Kasyatvam kaha. Kuta ayata. From where am I? Have I come? Before this embodiment, where was I? In some form, I would have existed. What is that existence of mine? That means I am not this body. I am someone else at the moment in this body. And when this body will drop, I will be someone else. So who am I? From where have I come? Where am I headed? In this way, when one asks this question, that tattvam chintaya tadiha bhrata, listen, introspect and think, reflect on this tattva. These are most fundamental questions, which generally one doesn't think about. But if one thinks about these questions, then it really makes a person wonder that what am I doing in life? Why am I being attached? Why am I being so possessive? What is my objective? All those things, when one starts thinking, this attachment that one has, that slowly becomes weaker and weaker. Because one starts getting the bigger picture clearly. That I am an entity who is seeking the supreme, the permanent happiness. I am on the journey. So is everyone else. In Adhyatma Ramayana, a beautiful analogy is given. Adhyatma Ramayana is written by Bhagavan Vedavyasi. That is the Vedantic interpretation of Ramayana. Most beautiful Adhyatmic Ramayana. So in that he gives one analogy that just like in a river, there are the river which is continuously flowing, there are twigs, different twigs which have fallen from the trees. They come together, they travel for some time and then they part. Again, at some point in time ahead in the river, they again meet for some time, again they part. In the same way, in the flow of life, we meet people, we have relationships, we have exchange love, we exchange emotions, and the time comes when they go their own way, we go our own way. Again, at some point in future, somewhere we will again meet. So this process continues to go on. One who starts inquiring in this way will understand that life is much more than just this uh, dependencies that we have cultivated. On this verse, Puja Gurudev has given a very beautiful talk. I'm just going to share that with you on your screen. You will find it.
Then what can I do about it? This is the nature of the society or the life. It's a nature. It's a human nature. In every part of the world. It's not in India only. Everywhere. Humanity. This is the nature. Then what am I to do? Start thinking. You have been given an intelligence, a buddhi. Use it. But there is no time. Time is not necessary. You need not sit down in a quiet room and think. As you are moving about, think. Your wasteful hours, you start thinking. What should I think? Kade Kanda. Who is this wife of yours? Kaste Putra. Who is this son of yours? Think. Swamiji, that I have been thinking for some time. Who is this wife? Who is the son? Throw them away. That is not the thing. Kanta, who is this wife of mine? Think. Where did she come? Ah, Swamiji, her father's place. Very good. When you were born, generally in India, your wife is not born. In America, the wife is already married when you are born. But in India, generally, when I was born, my wife was not yet born. It was an accident or a happening that much later after my birth, a child is born. Where? To its mother and father. Right. And it was growing, unknown to me, in a far-off place. It was growing. Until my uncle and her uncle met together in a temple in Sivat. The proposal came, my parents accepted, and I have no voice in it, and there you are. I have been brought to a pandal on an appointed day, and I have been fed plenty, given a new suit, and everything is given. So I didn't want lalich for it, so I don't want to protest against it. And having accepted all these things, then to say no is too late. She also has given new saris, clothes and the ornaments and all that. She also cannot say a word. Both of them are brought into the pandal, and there any intelligent man would have ran away. You are not allowed to think. Therefore, band and the pep goes on around you. That even if you want to think, you can't think. So noisy. And all the parivar, your family, their family, stand around you like an iron fencing. You can't run away. So then you postpone, until at last the Pandit says, now you are married. This is how the trick happens. You can. Thereafter, she became my wife. Yeah, my wife. But where is she? Think. Kanta, from where does she come? Who is she? She is the daughter of her father. Where did the father get it? Through the mother. Where did the mother get it? Oh, that is, a seed was placed in that and then it grew up. Very good. Where did mother get the seed? Oh, mother gets the seed. Sorry, what a silly question you are asking. Father gave it. Where did the father get the seed? Father gets the seed. Australia. From New Zealand. From Europe. By post, some seeds came and then he said, Amma, le lo, acha seed laya. What? No! Father got the seed out of the essence of the food that he has eaten and digested and assimilated. Where did the food come from? I don't know where the food comes from, but it comes from the kitchen. In the kitchen, where did it? A mother cooked it. Out of what? Out of the vegetables. Where did the vegetable come? Swamiji, unnecessarily questioning. Vegetable comes from the farm. In the farm, who makes the vegetables? The farmer. Oh, the farmer sits down the whole night and day and makes the vegetables. No, Swamiji, it is growing on the ground. Very good. It is grown on the plant. But then where does the plant grow? On the earth. Why does it grow so beautifully? Manure. What is a manure? Cow dung. I see. So it is a long chemistry, involved chemistry, that the cow dung became the vegetable. The vegetable became food. Food became seed. That seed was placed in the warm security of the mother's womb, and after that came my wife. I see. So my wife is a modification of understood. Understood. Katte putra. And who is your putra? When I analyze, putra also came through me, no doubt. From where? Another clog of mud. Samsaroyam ativa vichitra. To the thoughtless alone, samsari. It cannot be to a thinking man, because it is both, in fact, nothing but two pieces of mud. Manifest, no doubt. It has gone through many changes until at last it became my wife, the mother of my child. But for the sake of his wife and the son, you are compromising yourself. Two pieces of clay. Samsaroya ativa vichitra. Mysterious is the ways of confusion created in the pluralistic world. Kasyatva. Chalo. Wife and Swamiji, it's all right. Wife is a piece of clay, and the son also a piece of clay. I don't mind. But it is my duty to look after him. Kasyatva. From where did you come, my dear? And I inquired. I also came from another piece of clay. So the three pieces of clay, and they say that I am attached to each other. And I can't get any freedom. Kasyatvam kuta ayadaha. From where did all you came from? You were not here 100 years ago. Certainly you are not going to be here in another 50 years. Where are you going? Where did you come from? That I don't know, but one thing I know, yes, I can't live without my wife. I am attached to my children. And for their sake, I am cutting the throat of everybody. Kasyatva. Kutayara. Tattvam. This reality. Chindaya. Think. You have been given this instrument. Why don't you use? Tattvam chindaya. Tadiha. Don't postpone it. Iha. Here. Now. Start thinking. Brata, oh my dear brother, that is not Shankara standing on a pulpit and saying that thou fools thank. No. He is coming down from his height, standing next to you, throwing his hand round your shoulders, offering you a beedi, and then saying, Tattva Jindaya, Bhai Sahab, brother, brother, oh Bhai Sahab, dara vichar kar. Think a little. Since these were not printed at that time, it was going from mouth to the ears, ears to the mouth, mouth to the ears. It is communicated. Therefore, there are very many analogous words sounding the same, and some of them are so beautiful. In some of the editions you will find Tattvam Chindaya. Think of the reality. Tadiha, here itself. Brandaha. Brandaha, oh man, crack. See, Brandaha. When your third generation came, it's called Brandaha. I mean, but both of them are applicable. Hey, Brandaha, oh, I mean, a crazy fellow. Think about the reality, the spring of all life. The one source from which everything is emerging out. Tadiha Bhara.
So complete indulgence and the way of indulgence alone, without having balance, without having the clarity of the higher goal, he says that also is not the way of desire. Then let me completely deny, torture myself. Don't give room for the desire to rise. Even the basic necessities don't give. Torture. So he says, Agre vanhi prishthe bhanuhu ratrau chubuka samarpita januhu taratala bhikshastarutala vasaha tadapi namunchatyasha pashaha. Says Agre vanhi, in the front he puts fire. Prishte bhanu, behind is the sun, meaning in the hot midday sun, this man lives with fire in front. And in the night, when it is extremely cold, he is sitting like that. Ratra uchubuka samarpita janu. It's so cold, but at that time he is not lighting fire. He is torturing himself in that extreme cold, holding himself, his chin in this way and constricting his whole body. Karatala bhikshas tarutala vasa. How much food one gets in this much, in the palms of one's hand, with that he eats and he satisfies himself. And where does he sleep? Below the trees, tarutala vasa. Meaning even the basic comforts of the body are denied to the body. One has tortured oneself to that extent, thinking that desire can be eliminated by doing this. So it appears at that time that I have conquered desire, but the suppression, this is suppression. The clarity of the higher goal is not there, and one is doing it through willpower, suppressing the entire desire. It will rebound with a lot of force. Then when one sees good food, when one sees some basic comfort, then one just attacks and breaks all control, everything gone. So it will rebound with lots of force. So he says that is also not a way to control the desire. So escapism cannot help us to get out of desire. Complete indulgence cannot. Suppression, that also cannot. Then he says maybe spiritual knowledge and spiritual practices can. Not spiritual knowledge, sorry, just the spiritual practices. So he says, Kurute Ganga Sagar Gamanam Rata Paripalanam Athava Dhanam. He goes to Ganga Sagar, takes up a yatra, walks from Gomukh to Ganga Sagar, or does lots of vratas, Ekadashi Vrat, Maun Vrat, Chandrayan Vrat, all the vratas he does. Or does lots of charity, generous, keeps on giving dhan. Vrata Paripalanam Athava Dhanam. He says all these spiritual practices, they are no doubt very good, but Shankaracharya says that by themselves, they will not help to overcome desire. So then what will help me to overcome desire? He says, Jnana Vihina Sarvamatena Bhajatina Muktim Janma Shatena. That without knowledge, right knowledge, even in hundreds of lives, one will not get mukti. What does that mean? Should I not do spiritual practices? Should I not do dhan? Should I not go for vrata? No, I can do all that. They will purify the mind. And to that extent, the desire can be reduced also. But remember what we spoke earlier, the root cause has to be eliminated. Till the root cause is not eliminated, desire will again come back. So that's a symptom. Symptom of what? Symptom of feeling incomplete. Why am I feeling incomplete? Because I have no knowledge of my true self, which is complete. So he says, until self-knowledge doesn't arise, one cannot conquer desire. So, jnana vihina. So, if I am not having knowledge, so what is the solution to overcome desire? Neither escapism nor complete indulgence, nor suppression, nor mechanical spiritual practice. Then what is the solution? Let me enjoy the world with the clarity that this is temporary and that this is not the goal of life. 1. 2, let me slowly turn my mind through satsang and spiritual practice and develop detachment. 3, let me engage in spiritual practices with the attitude that I am purifying my mind. Let me do it with full alertness and awareness, not mechanically. not just to get some punya and go to heaven. And many people do spiritual practices like dan to get punya, to enjoy more pleasures in heaven. If I do that way, it is not going to remove desire. Let me do it with the attitude that I want to make my mind pure and single pointed to know the Supreme. And with such a mind, finally, I should contemplate and meditate to realize my true self. So that knowledge of the self, when I get, I am beyond desire because ignorance has been destroyed. That state is a state of mukti, and hence in this chapter, that is the way to realize the changeless. How to progress from the changing to realize the changeless. How to go from desire to desirelessness. Beautiful scheme of evolution that this chapter gives us. And that is where we end chapter 16. So now, those of you who are taking the test, you can take the test of chapter 15 and 16 together. In today's class, whatever we have done, any questions, any doubts, you can unmute and ask.
Hariom Swamiji,
Yes, Hari Om.
in the family or in the social circle, where you see that lots of people, like doing wrong things, we understand that, it's not our job to do. But still, like when it comes to your children, you feel so, burned that if they are doing which is denied by scriptures or by satsang or wherever. So that time, definitely with our attachment, we feel that they should not do it. And if we just keep quiet that time, then they'll keep doing the wrong things. No? So how to go about?
See, we don't need to keep quiet. We can inform them what is the limitation. Certain things they have to enjoy, certain things they have to experience by themselves only. If it burns them, if it makes them disturbed, if they see the consequences, then they will understand. But we can inform, and we can inform sometimes. Suppose 10 times they are doing the same thing, I can inform 3 times in the beginning. The rest of the 7 times I can't tell them. I don't need to,
Yeah.
because I've told them 3 times, I've told them properly. Now it is up to them. Now if they are choosing, then they will face the karma, they will learn from it, if whatever they have to learn, whenever they have to learn. I have to leave. That's what we called as the space, the detachment. That we can tell, but we cannot insist. And that telling also we can tell in certain ways for certain time. After that, it is their karma, their prarabdha. You see, Ravan was told by everybody. Vibhishan told him, his grandfather told him, Kumbhakarna also told him.
Mm.
So many people. Bhagwan Ram also told him. Hanuman told him. Angad told him. Everybody told him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't listen only.
Yeah.
Now what can one do? That is their karma. Then one has to leave it at that. And other thing we can do, because they are dear to us, we pray to Bhagwan that, oh Lord, please bless them. Please give them the right Vivek Shakti. And please help them to rise higher in life. That's what we can do.
Thank you very much.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.